The AI revolution just stopped being a software race. It is now a battle for atoms. While the world watched the soaring stock prices of chip makers, a far more fundamental shift was happening in the background. Microsoft, a titan of the digital age, quietly signed a 20-year deal to purchase the power from a resurrected nuclear reactor at 3 Mile Island. This move was not an outlier. It was a signal. The reason is stark and simple. The American grid is officially full. The demand for electricity, driven by the colossal energy needs of data centers and artificial intelligence, is outstripping our capacity to supply it reliably. This new reality is forcing the world's largest technology companies to secure their own power sources. This is not a future problem. It is happening now. On March 14, 2026, just yesterday, industrial giants GE Vernova and Hitachi signed a landmark memorandum of understanding. Their goal is to deploy fleets of small modular reactors, or SMRs, across the power-hungry economies of Southeast Asia. In parallel, the government of India recently passed the historic SHANTI Act, a law designed to unleash private investment into its nuclear sector to fuel its own digital and industrial growth. These events, a tech giant buying a reactor, a major industrial deal for new designs, a national policy shift, are not disconnected. They are the opening moves in a global race to secure clean and dedicated power. This briefing will lay out the core facts of this new energy paradigm. We will examine the specific deals, the key players, and the technologies that are redefining the relationship between big tech and big energy. The acceleration of the 3 Mile Island restart, backed by a $1.6 billion federal loan, is a critical case study. The GE Vernova Hitachi MOU reveals the global scale of the opportunity. India's ambition to generate 100 gigawatts of nuclear power by 2047 using private capital shows the policy direction that other nations may follow. These are the foundational pieces of the new atomic economy. If you are an investor, a business leader, or a policymaker who does not yet understand the significance of small modular reactors and the Crane Clean Energy Center, you are investing in a future that may not have enough power to function. The digital world is built on a physical foundation of energy. The infamous 3 Mile Island Nuclear Generating Station, site of America's most well-known commercial nuclear accident, is being reborn. Its new name is the Crane Clean Energy Center, a deliberate rebranding meant to signal a new purpose. The plant's owner, Constellation, is working to restart Unit 1, which was shut down in 2019 due to economic pressures from cheap natural gas. This revival is not for the public grid alone. In a landmark deal, Microsoft has signed a 20-year power purchase agreement to buy a significant portion of the electricity the plant will generate. This long-term contract provides Constellation with the revenue certainty it needs to reinvest in the facility. The project has been dramatically accelerated, thanks in part to a $1.6 billion federal loan guarantee. This financial backing from the U.S. government underscores the national strategic importance of securing reliable, clean energy for critical industries like artificial intelligence. The restart is now slated for 2027, about a year ahead of the original schedule. Once operational, the Crane Clean Energy Center will restore 835 megawatts of reliable, carbon-free energy to the grid. To put that in perspective, 835 megawatts is enough to power roughly 800,000 homes or a massive new data center campus. The facility is now more than 64% staffed, with nearly 400 full-time employees hired to bring the plant back online and operate it safely. Big tech needs power. This is the simple, immutable fact driving the industry's newfound interest in nuclear energy. The artificial intelligence models that are reshaping our world do not run on code alone. They run on electricity. They operate within massive, sprawling data centers. These are some of the most power-intensive facilities ever built. Server racks and processors consume vast quantities of energy, and extensive cooling systems add even more load to prevent overheating. Unlike a factory that can shut down at night, data centers must run continuously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The existing electrical grid was not designed for this kind of concentrated, exponential growth in demand. Renewable sources, wind. Renewable sources, solar. but both are intermittent by nature. Utility-scale batteries can smooth fluctuations, but typically only for a few hours, not days or weeks. That variability is a major risk for AI operations that require 100% uptime. Nuclear power is uniquely suited to fill that role. A crucial development in the global nuclear story occurred on Saturday, March 14, 2026. At the Indo-Pacific Energy Security Ministerial and Business Forum in Tokyo, two industrial powerhouses, GE Vernova Hitachi, signed a formal Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU. The agreement solidifies their partnership to explore deployment of the BWRX-300 small modular reactor across Southeast Asia. The region is one of the world's fastest-growing economic zones and is seeing a surge in electricity demand. The deal signals a push to establish a new nuclear supply chain focused on this market. The agreement lays out a clear collaborative framework. The companies will work through joint ventures to find commercial opportunities for the BWRX-300. It leverages the proven safety and operating history of GE's boiling water reactor technology. But it's much smaller, simpler, and more cost-effective. Modules can be manufactured in factories and assembled on site. The growing interest in nuclear power is not just about restarting old plants. It is fundamentally about a new class of technology, small modular reactors, or SMRs. These reactors are critical to understanding the new nuclear landscape for three primary reasons. First, SMRs are significantly smaller than conventional gigawatt-scale reactors. A typical SMR might generate between 50 and 300 megawatts of electricity. That makes them suitable for a much wider variety of locations. They can be sited at retiring coal plants to reuse existing transmission infrastructure. They can be placed directly adjacent to a large industrial facility. They can be placed next to a data center to provide dedicated power. Second, and perhaps most importantly, SMRs are designed for factory production. Unlike traditional nuclear plants, massive, one-of-a-kind projects built on site, SMRs are composed of modules made in a controlled factory environment. Serial manufacturing brings assembly line efficiencies to the nuclear industry. It promises to dramatically reduce construction schedules. It promises to improve quality control. It promises to lower the overall cost of the plant. Factory construction mitigates risks like weather delays. As with any major industrial shift, money is moving ahead of the headlines. Astute investors are already positioning themselves to capitalize on what many are calling the nuclear AI trade. The most direct beneficiaries are the companies that own, operate, build nuclear reactors and those that supply their fuel. A few key publicly traded companies have emerged as the primary bellwethers of this trend. Three tickers in particular stand out: CEG, GEV, CCJ. CEG is the ticker for Constellation, the largest operator of nuclear power plants in the United States. The company is at the absolute center of this story as the owner of the Crane Clean Energy Center. Their deal with Microsoft to restart 3 Mile Island and sell its power directly to a tech giant is the template for this new market. The resurgence of nuclear power creates ripple effects far beyond the handful of companies that build reactors or mine uranium. It stimulates a vast and complex industrial supply chain, creating opportunities for a wide range of manufacturers and service providers. A nuclear power plant is an intricate assembly of highly engineered components. A new build-out will generate significant demand for everything from giant steam turbines, generators, specialized pumps, valves, digital control systems. The demand extends to foundational materials as well. The core driver behind big tech's pivot to nuclear is a problem that has been building for years. The American grid is officially full. For decades, electricity demand in the U.S. was relatively flat, but the convergence of data centers the electrification of transport. New domestic manufacturing has created a surge in demand not seen in a generation. In many regions, the buffer between available power supply and peak demand has shrunk to dangerously thin margins. Building new high-voltage transmission lines to move power from where it is generated to where it is needed is a slow and arduous process. These projects can take a decade or more to complete, facing a maze of permitting hurdles, land use disputes, regulatory approvals across multiple jurisdictions. The timelines of the digital economy and the physical grid are dangerously out of sync. This reality is forcing a strategic pivot toward what is known as behind-the-meter dedicated power generation. The thesis is clear and urgent. The exponential growth of artificial intelligence is driving a historic pivot to nuclear power. This is no longer a theoretical discussion about future energy mixes. It is an industrial reality demonstrated by billion-dollar deals and national policy shifts. Investors, industry leaders, builders who ignore the rise of small modular reactors and the strategic importance of projects like the Crane Clean Energy Center are exposing themselves to the single greatest risk in the modern economy: a lack of power. The core risk is straightforward. Without a secure, reliable, and scalable source of electricity, the AI revolution will grind to a halt. First, you must know the names and dates that define this shift. Crane Clean Energy Center and its 20-year Microsoft PPA, $1.6 billion in federal support, accelerating its 2027 restart. March 14, 2026, GE Vernova Hitachi MOU to deploy the BWRX-300, India's SHANTI Act targeting 100 gigawatts by 2047. Second, you must follow the financial signals. The market is already placing its bets. CEG, GEV, CCJ. This extends to the broader supply chain of industrial components and raw materials: copper, uranium. Third, you must recognize the physical limits of our existing infrastructure. The fact that the grid is full is not a temporary problem. It is a structural condition that makes private power deals a strategic necessity for large energy consumers. The nuclear necessity is a simple equation. AI's demand for power is immense, constant, and growing at an unprecedented rate. While intermittent renewables are a vital part of the energy solution, they cannot alone provide the 24/7 reliability required by critical data centers. Grid expansion and large-scale battery storage will take too long to meet the immediate need. Therefore, strategic reactor restarts and the deployment of a new generation of SMRs offer the most logical path to providing stable, clean, and dedicated power at scale. For tech firms, this is an investment in operational survival. For investors, it is the birth of a new foundational market. The race for digital supremacy has become a battle for the atom. This is the industrial briefing on the nuclear necessity, a force that will shape the economic landscape for decades to come. Know the names, know the dates, follow the power.